April 8th, 2025. Well, we've been a few days into the tariff plan, and of course, the real event, I guess, occurs coming up on the 9th, um, when all these special tariffs go into effect. They're calling them reciprocal, but I don't think they're exactly reciprocal, but they are tariffs. And at any rate, they will take effect, I guess, on the 9th, and unless there's some change in plan, which apparently won't be. As I predicted in the last video, I don't think there's going to be too much, because there's the momentum in that direction on the part of the administration, I think, is pretty strong. And I've been listening somewhat to some of the Secretary of Treasury's comments on Tucker Carlson about this and what the thought process behind it is. And so they will, of course, at this point, it has had the effect of really messing around with the various financial markets to a great extent. And it also has got all kind of countries, so is it 50 plus countries or more that have been trying to call in and try to negotiate something. And so, but so far, I guess nobody has really succeeded in negotiating anything. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not they in fact will or not. That's the problem, as I've raised before, is I don't know that they're capable of giving what is really desired, if you will. Um, and that could be a problem. If you're asking for something they really can't do, then it kind of becomes intransigent, and just all the bad effects take effect on both sides, and there's not much to do about it. And of course, a special case I think will be China, and that's I'll kind of I have some ideas on that subject too, because I think there you're dealing with something totally different than you're going to be dealing with, say, with a Europe or a Canada or Mexico or whatever. I think that there's a whole different attitude in that case. So let's, I guess, first of all, the markets. One of the interesting things is that there's been a rapid decrease in the price of oil. Of course, we have to understand why that's the case. That's because the speculators of the markets expect we're going into a major economic slowdown or perhaps even a recession. The recession is a technical term of two consecutive quarters of negative growth. Okay, that's a specific kind of a technical thing. So, as I understand it, so that you can have a slowdown that still will put a lot of people out of work without actually technically reaching the level of a recession. So and that's another issue that I mean we're already seeing in some of the companies. A few of them, I think, were even starting to talk about layoffs, and because really they can't get the parts they need, or they can't afford to get the ones they need because they don't want to pay the tariff, and so they're like, well, you know. So we'll have to see how this all pans out. It's developing rather rapidly, and of course it's a bit chaotic. Um, and so then they'll see how that goes. I've been listening to some of the talk radio and a lot of raw there, like, who cares about what happens to these markets? Well, uh, like your insurance companies, where do you think they put their money? The money that pays the settlements when you have a car wreck or a house damage or whatever, it's in the market. And if the markets fall too much, what do? They raise the insurance rates. So even some people that don't have any direct market involvement or a 401k can actually feel a little pinch from this. And also, if companies, if jobs go away because of it, ultimately, that can have an effect, another kind of effect. Um, on the other hand, the theory is that new jobs will be created, but the problem with that is there are at the margins there will be examples of that, and I think that's for instance, there may be a situation for instance, some plant had just laid off a bunch of people with a plan to move to somewhere else, right? And all of a sudden they learned we're not moving to somewhere else. And so they may turn right around and hire those people back, or maybe even hire a few other people or expand their line or something. But to create new factories is simply going to take time, even if he can get rid of some deregulation, which would, in other words, do some deregulation that would, make the environmental terms and things you have to do to get a plant built, to streamline that and get the plant built quicker. It's still going to take time. It's going to take capital, And who's going to pay for the capital? Well, it all comes into the price of doing business, doesn't it? So that'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. But on the other hand, at least today, it looks like the market's achieved a little bit of stability. I don't mean they're not going to crash tomorrow. We don't know. But on the other hand, maybe they've pulled back into a range that's, you know, kind of the wait and see range to see what happens. Because my guess is if nothing dramatic happens, you'll start seeing the energy prices going back up again. I mean, if things aren't really trending down that fast, I mean, a collapse of oil prices that dramatically seems to be uh, very speculative, but probably may not be sustained. Because as it is, I don't think the use of energy is really going to drop off that much in the days and weeks ahead. Really, maybe they will. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could have some factory shutdowns overseas, throw the rest of the world into kind of a recession. And that's the other point. I mean, how are they going to buy stuff from us if they're in a recession? And there may also be a slowdown of people buying here. A lot of these retired people, their retirement savings accounts, the 401ks and stuff, all start losing money, and they start getting a little bit apprehensive about making optional purchases. On the other hand, you have the other scenario where people say, well, I want to buy this car, so I'll buy it now before the price goes up. I mean, I don't know. That seems like this whole thing is Navarro and Trump have ginned this idea up, but it seems to me to be not the best idea he's ever come up with. So, on the other hand, he got a positive Supreme Court ruling on the use of the Alien Enemies Act, so they can deport the illegal alien gang members. And so that stay has been lifted by the Supreme Court. So for the moment, I guess he can go ahead and do it until an ultimate decision is made. Of course, the original district court ruling will go forward, and that'll play through probably the appellate court and then the Supreme Court. So it'll take a while to get through all that, but it looks like he's had some real success on that. So hey, if you like these videos, please give me a like, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications, or you can follow me on Rumble. Yeah, so this is kind of the situation we're in. It'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. My main concern, as always, is that that the people who are not directly involved in supporting Trump may end up voting Democrat more. I mean, the thing was the Democrats were really taking it on the chin to this happen, in my opinion. And even here, that provides a bit of a problem. Are the Democrats really going to oppose creating more jobs for American workers? Well, it makes it trickier for them because they've traditionally tried to claim they were the advocate of the working man, right? But of course, we all know that isn't totally true, is it? So, well, and Trump has obviously tried to take that away from him with this move, and we'll see kind of how that pans out and where we go on that. I can say I think this is a little. We'll just have to wait and see on it. Everybody says be patient and see what happens. Um, it will be also the negotiation with this many countries, if each one has its own thing, and we're getting into every little nitty gritty thing. I mean, Trump was talking about something that some country drops a bowling ball on the top of a car, and if it dents it, then the car is not acceptable. But they don't test their own cars that level or something. So I don't know. Whoever's doing that, I suppose they should quit that. And like I say, there's a lot to be worked on here, but it looks like there's a lot of detailed work that would need to be done to get everything cleared away and get everybody happy, and that a lot could happen in the meantime on that one. Meanwhile, I guess we're continuing to pound the Houthis, and we're kind of waiting to see how that goes. I understand now there's going to be some kind of a meeting between our representatives and the Iranians over the issue of their nuclear program, and to see if they can get an agreement on that. That I guess they not make a nuclear weapon. I've been told on some things that the deal that the Ukrainians have made with the Russians, also tends to preclude them from making a nuclear weapon. If that's true, then maybe there's not really much risk of doing it anyhow. it's hard to know. I mean, my general thinking on this is that on the one hand, we've had our intelligence community has claimed that they've quit working on this ever since 2003, basically about the time we went into Iraq. I guess they saw things were getting a little too hot to move in that direction and decided better not. And then other people, particularly the Israelis, seem to claim they're still working on it. So there's a lot of, you know, movement on that one way or the other, and a discussion, I guess, what's the real truth. And I suppose if they're not really working on it, I guess they could sign some treaty. Now, the main issue we've been raising is the fact that they do seem to want to enrich uranium up to the level that they could make a nuclear weapon whenever they wanted to. And that's been kind of the bone of the contention, that they want to be a threshold state, but not an actual nuclear state. And the other issue we have, of course, is their ongoing ballistic missile program, which can threaten American bases around the whole Middle East and even threaten targets in Europe. I'm kind of wondering, can they actually even threaten Diego Garcia? Whether we put 6 of our B-2 bombers at Diego Garcia for missions unclear, whether designed mainly against Iran or they're designed more against the Houthis. But at any rate, they're there and could become in range of some of this stuff. I don't know. That'll be, I suppose we have calculated this carefully. So, all right, so that's kind of the way. Meanwhile, the Russian-Ukrainian deal, it looks like this is kind of leading to impasse with. It looks like they've been kind of violations on both sides early on the deal, and a lot of disagreement on what the deal is. The bottom line is the Russians really don't want a ceasefire. I think they do want a actual peace agreement, but the terms they want in the peace agreement are so stressful that it's unclear how any Ukrainian government can agree to it. And and so, nor could the Trump administration, it seems to me, impose that on them without having a lot of backlash. Um, so, so on the other hand, from the Russian point of view, they still see themselves as winning, I guess, at the moment. There may be some issue that was raised, but since the oil prices have at least temporarily collapsed, that maybe that will put additional pressure on them. On the other hand, I'm skeptical how much the oil prices will stay down unless there really is a major global recession occurs, and so but at the moment that's still kind of an impasse. I think one of the problems, like I say, is the fact that the Russians don't they see a ceasefire as just an opportunity for Ukraine to be rearmed. And there's plenty of people in European countries certainly want to rearm them, and I guess we're still sending equipment in. So, uh, and of course the Ukrainians continue to hold the position that Russia really just wants an opportunity to overrun the country, although they're still pretty far from doing that. So, and that's so. At any rate, that's kind of the impasse we have on that. I don't know whether we're going to actually get an agreement on that or not. So that's about it for this time. That's kind of the way I see it. We just have to wait and see where things go in the days ahead. A lot's happening. And of course, the crazy left wingers are out there protesting like nuts and still attacking Teslas, which is kind of ironic considering that most people who own Teslas are probably Democrats. So it's kind of weird, huh? So anyway, so I'll wrap this up for now, and I'll be posting this on YouTube and Rumble as always, and of course the rest of my social media accounts are in the description below. So all for this time.